Welcome back to the Rambles. This is episode 51. But first, before we get into the introduction, I want you to do a couple of things for me. I want you to like this video. I want you to share it if you wouldn't mind. And I want you to subscribe to my channel, because I noticed a lot of people are watching my videos and not actually subscribing. Why are you doing that? I don't know, but you need to subscribe. I have awesome guests coming on, like this gentleman here. But first, let's get into the intro, because I like to do them. So he's competed in numerous bodybuilding events, from the Welsh Bodybuilding, Body Power Expo, British Natural Bodybuilding Federation, NABA UK, and PCA. And now he's competing in this year's Welsh Fitness Expo. He's an ambassador for Genesis Sports Nutrition and former Welsh Wrestling World Champion. Hunters, I give you the one, the only, the Welsh patriot himself, Kid Cymru. There's the intro, and you got the pyrotechnics as well that I played.
Yeah. No worries.
So obviously we haven't officially met. I think I came across you to start last year for Welsh Wrestling, because I helped set it up. And
yeah, I remember you being down there.
Yeah, so
yeah.
Yeah, so nice to meet you again. Nice to see you, whatever. You know, we do the handshake or fist bump, whatever you want to do at the moment. I don't know what it is. So how has lockdown been treating you?
It's a tough one. It's been all right. It's not been, I know, like, I can't complain too much. You know, that's the thing. I mean, obviously, we haven't been able to do what we love to do, but I haven't been locked away in a box either, you know what I mean? It's like I've been lucky enough to be able to work. I know a lot of people haven't been able to work, you know, and I've, like I say, still been around the kids, still been doing what I can, still been able to train. That's a big one. I mean, I know a lot of people, they haven't even been able to train, and that's, like I say, is a big part of people's lives nowadays. So yeah, I've been lucky. I've been really lucky with everything, you know? So yeah, can't complain.
Happy days, sounds good. So my actual first question for you, Kid, or whatever you want to be called, Cymru, I don't know. So everybody who comes on has a story, in whether it be within wrestling or anything they do. So Kid Cymru, for the dozens and dozens watching at home, how and why did you get into wrestling?
Like, you're always a fan of wrestling. I don't think there's anybody who at one point in their life hasn't watched wrestling of some kind, or loved wrestling at one point in their life. There's always been that kind of, like, whether you're a kid watching the old WWE stuff, or whether, you know, it's what I feel like the Japan stuff is. So everybody's enjoyed wrestling at one point in their life, and I don't think I've stopped enjoying it. It's always been I've been through stages where I haven't watched it or haven't been able to see it, because it's like, you know, when I speak to my own kids, it's like they can't think of a world without YouTube or without Sky or without anything like that. And it's like, when I was young, you had to go over your mate's house if you had Sky. You know what I mean? So there's been a few, like, times in my life where I haven't been able to see it, or haven't been able to. We just been joined by Ellis. That's what that bit of disruption was. He just yanked my phone out of the thing, but yeah.
All right, it's all good.
Yeah, so yeah, yeah, but no, it's like, so kind of, and he's just sneezing, whatever. Yeah, so brace yourself for any disruptions like that. But yeah, it's like, I think kind of growing up, I was about 17 when we first had Sky. So it's like, from the age of kind of, when I was young, I remember somebody recording it for me. And then obviously when I went to kind of secondary school, then it was like, right, whose house can we get over? Who's got Sky? Who do we need to be best pals with this week to be able to get over to somebody's house? You know, it was one of those things. But yeah, and like I say, and then when we kind of got Sky, well, like, everybody seemed to have Sky by the end of it then. So we all had Sky, and it was like you got back into it. Like, you got to be a fan again type thing, and you enjoyed it. And but like I say, at the time, there was like a lot of people you had to know to become a wrestler, to be an actual wrestler. I mean, you could watch it on TV and like you could be a fan and everything, but it was very kind of closed doors if you wanted to be a wrestler. So living where I lived in the sticks in the back of Beyond in Carmarthenshire, it was like no chance of kind of, you had to know people who knew people who knew people if you wanted to be a wrestler. So I kind of did the next best thing, where I started doing karate and started training there. And like I said, I really enjoyed that. And I did that until I was about 30 odd. And like I say, enjoyed it, represented Wales. Did, like I say, well, for me, I did really well to what, you know, as with everything that went on there. But family comes along and you got to kind of put other things first, and you got to kind of grow up a little bit. I mean, the traveling from one country to another on the weekends just to have, like, just to go to a competition, so it's like stuff like that had to stop. So but anyway, Ethan, my eldest, started watching WWE, and it was like, this is good because I like wrestling, he likes wrestling, we can watch this together, this is like brilliant. And the next thing, posters started coming up in Snessie, Welsh Wrestling, or Superstars of Wrestling, as you was kind of putting on the posters back then, in the theatre. So it was like, right, do you want to go watch wrestling live? I was like, yeah, okay, cool, brilliant. We went down, and from there it's kind of like then looking online, and I noticed that they had a wrestling academy going, and basically just went from there, top down. Saw Big Dog first time I was there. Remembered him from his Transatlantic Wrestling Challenge days. Got me in straight away. Mentioned that, and suddenly it was like, yeah, get in, come in, yeah. Yeah, no, I all just went from there really, and trained with them. It was quite intermittent, obviously, because training was only once a fortnight, and then if there were shows on that weekend, like training might be cancelled the next day depending on where the show was and stuff like that, you know. So it wasn't kind of like now where it was like, right, we got training Monday, Wednesday and Friday. It was like you turn up and so basically most of my training was then done just turning up at a show and helping set the ring up and helping set the chairs out and helping with that, and hopefully you'd have time before the show to get in the ring. So you'd get in the ring and you do a few rolls, and then if you were really lucky, one of the other boys would jump in with you and kind of show you how to run the ropes and show you how to, you know, do a few little things. And it was basically, I kind of think of it as I had an apprenticeship rather than a training, if you know what I mean. So,
yeah.
It wasn't as in like turn up to a training session and learn how to do this, learn how to do that. It was like, right, I'll come down, I'll stand by the door, take tickets, and, you know, and basically fingers crossed to get in the ring with them then. And it just basically panned out. It's like, right, I'm going to buy a singlet, I'm going to buy some boots, take that with me. Kind of hint, is there a rumble? You know, if there is, do you mind if I'm in it, type of thing. And it's like you get a few rumble spots then, which is brilliant to learn because it kind of teaches you how to go on the fly, kind of, because nobody plans anything. Yeah. You know, so you just have to just go in there. And obviously with karate background, it was kind of like, this is great. I can just kick and punch. I don't need to do anything that I can't do, type of thing, you know. So yeah, you just go from there. And then it was a case of, all right, I'm short on somebody tonight. Do you mind having a match? Type of thing. It's like, oh, brilliant. Yeah. So it just went from there basically. And it just went to develop the character kind of from kind of somebody just starting out wearing the red singlet to kind of, right, you're going to carry the flag with you to, okay, let's get some green in your, in your ring gear. Let's kind of make this more catered towards being a Welsh patriot type of thing. And it kind of, like the final, well, I can't say the final product, but like where I am now kind of just developed kind of over a space of a couple of years type of thing. And it was like you doing kind of being the Welsh speaker. It was like you kind of went on different radio shows then, and you were kind of introduced as the Welsh patriot then. So it kind of helped the character even more and kind of put the character even more like that, So, it's just developed over time. It's not been a case of, right, we've gone out to be kind of the Welsh Captain America or anything. It's just that's the way it's worked out, It's just because and it's different because, like you say, looking back at kind of like when you look at wrestler, you had obviously Orig. He was the biggest Welsh patriot going type of thing. He'd come out, you'd have like the original singlet I had with the red and the black down the side is similar to what he kind of used to wear.
Right.
So that's where that kind of started from, like that. Obviously, he came out carrying the flag, and then it was Gary Welsh. He'd come out the Welsh football jersey kind of thing, waving the flag, and he'd be kind of the next Welsh patriot. And it's like there's been a few kind of over the years, but I like to think that I've put my own kind of spin on it. I'm not just a guy who's coming out in a Welsh rugby shirt waving a Welsh flag type of thing. I'd like to think that, right, we've got a character here that represents what being Welsh is, kind of thing. So it's it's just trying to develop and trying to represent what being Welsh is, rather than being like, yes, I'm Welsh kind of thing.
Well,
it's like, let's get a cheap.
I understand.
So it's just like you say, go from there really.
So obviously you said you've done karate as well. So how did you transition from doing the karate into the wrestling? Because essentially you could batter the crap into it.
The boys love it when I start kicking. Yeah, they think it's great. They it's a strange thing because it's kind of natural, but isn't, if you know what I mean. It's kind of like it's hard to explain really how it kind of develops into it, but
because obviously you can move, because obviously within wrestling you got to be able to move and all that, and you'll be able to do that straight away, especially like with the with bumping as well. I'd imagine you like you were used to being thrown, you were used. I think a lot of it is you're used to getting hit. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but kind of like when we were training for karate, we used to hit each other, just not because we wanted to batter each other, but because it conditions you. You condition to kind of getting hurt, if you know what I mean. So when you're kind of used to that, it's like, I think it kind of puts some people at ease knowing that, right, okay, I don't have to worry about kind of hurting somebody type of thing. You can roll with the punches type of thing. That's, like I say, it conditions you. And I definitely think if there's somebody who wants to get into wrestling, that if they've got that kind of any kind of martial arts background, it's an advantage, not because the moves or anything like that, but it conditions you. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could take a bit of it, because, like I say, even though, I mean, all the boys I work with are great. They're very professional, but things can happen. Say, like you said, I'm a little bit too close to somebody, or I turn into somebody when they're not expecting it, and you do get knocks. I mean, it's not ballet. You know what I mean? So to take a knock and be like, yeah, okay, that stung a bit, but I'm all right. Then you're not gonna ruin the match, type of thing. You know what I mean? So it is an advantage knowing how to take a knock.
Yeah,
basically.
Well, there we go. So I agree with you. So if you do other stuff like MMA or karate, like you do, coming into wrestling, it's just an extra kind of thing to it.
And it's one less thing you got to get used to.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
A lot of times, like, people get put off. like I say, when I started training, we were training on judo mats on a solid floor. But that's what I was used to anyway, where you had some people coming in there kind of going to do a bump, and it was like, oh, you know, you're a bit apprehensive. And the apprehension, like, is that's going to hurt you, because you're not, like, when you throw yourself into something, you're bracing yourself, you're like prepared for it. When you're not prepared or not used to it, and you kind of hesitate, that's what's going to get you hurt, type of thing. So you're kind of, if you know, right, okay, well, yeah, it is going to sting, but I know it's going to sting, you can take it a bit more.
Yeah,
I
agree. I mean, I when I started wrestling, I didn't have any of that background. You know, I was in school, you know, and I was, remember taking my first bump, absolutely winded me.
Yeah.
But it's just that, like, it's just, you know, somewhat forcing yourself to carry on. You know, you take your first bump, it's like, oh, that was bad, but you know, your trainers, you got to keep going and going. And then eventually you will push past that, and then it just becomes second nature. You take a bump,
that's it. It just, you come used to it, type of thing. So sometimes it's better to kind of train somewhere like that, and then when you go in the ring, it's like, oh, this is nice. This is like falling on concrete. This is like, oh, a bit of comfort, you know. So it's because it's the same. Like a lot of boys come when they come to us when we're doing the English shows and stuff like that, and they're like, oh no, it's Alan's ring. And it's like, we're going, what do you mean? It's fine, you know, but it's like, no, you haven't used other rings. This ring is something else, you know. So it's, well, we're kind of used to this. So if it's another ring, we're going to be fine, you know. So, but no, like I say, it just kind of it's conditioning, basically. It's part of it. It's what you got to get used to. And, you know, like I say, I personally think it's better to be kind of over conditioned by kind of learning on that kind of surface, and then having the comfort, rather than having the comfort. And then, I mean, you imagine you go into a ring that you're not used to, that's much harder, that's, you know, not as flexible as what you're used to, and having to do a match, and you take that first bump and you're not used to it, and you're like, oh no, you got another 15 minutes of this, like, being battered. So when you're kind of conditioned for it, it's like, yeah, okay, that hurt, but it's not as bad as what it was in training, type of thing, you know. It's, So,
you know, you've had a couple of public appearances that you said at the start, you know, where you've been on the radio for Welsh Wrestling and all that. You've also appeared on, I think I get this right, S4C. Is that right? That's the like the Welsh, the Wales channel.
Well, basically, yeah.
Yeah. So you've done stuff like that. But importantly, you have been part of the Adrain Street documentary. So speak to me about that. How did you get invited to come on to that? And
I was really lucky to be part of that. Most of the stuff I've done, I've been really lucky to be part of. I'm really grateful for every opportunity you've had, type of thing. The producer kind of, well, she did everything for the show. She's brilliant. Joanne Rambles, she came to a show in Llanelli, my hometown, and basically just, we started talking after the show, and she said, oh, look, do you mind if we set something up to get an interview going? This is what I've got planned. So it was like, oh yeah, no problem. It was kind of quite flattered to be asked to be part of it, because I think at the time I'd only been wrestling, that would have been in 2016 where we filmed it. So I'd only been wrestling kind of 2 years properly. So it has to be part of something like that about Adrain Street, who's been around the world and been with, you know, in the ring with so many massive names and stuff like that. It was like, yeah, definitely a jump at the chance, you know. So it was, I was really flattered to be asked, and really grateful to be kind of actually featured in it at the end as well. You know, because it was like, I wasn't expecting. You had so many other big names. You know what I mean? You had Mick Foley, kind of Way Barrett, everyone like that in it, and it was like, it's me as well, you know. So I felt quite lucky to be part of it, you know.
Because for anybody who doesn't know who Adrain Street is, he probably put Wales on the map in terms of wrestling. He was this flamboyant wrestler back, I want to maybe 60s or 70s. I want to say 70s. Is that right? That's, yeah.
70, definitely 70. I mean,
yeah, he was this, just like I said, this flamboyant wrestler who did travel around the world, like Kid Cymru said, you know, on NWA, and he wrestled guys like Ric Flair, I believe Sting, he may have wrestled as well back then. It's
all kind of Macho Man. He did a big thing with Macho Man. He was so far ahead of his time as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the stuff he's doing when he did it, compared to everyone else that was there, and then compare what he did to the stuff people are doing today, and he'd still be kind of ahead of it. You know what I mean? It's I think he's influenced so many people. It's kind of unreal to say. Like, I mean, you could see his influence in so many different wrestlers nowadays. You know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I've had somebody on here before called Randy Hogan, and he mentioned about Adrain Street, how he was in the ring with him, how he was a really nice guy to work, a very nice guy to be around. But it was unfortunate that he had heat with a lot of wrestlers back then just because of his gimmick. It's unfortunate, that's the way it was. But like you said, he was ahead of his time. He was doing some amazing as far as winning. But yeah, you know, that would have been fantastic for you to be on that documentary, and just about an iconic figure. So let's talk about your friends, your social media rival, Big Dog.
Yeah.
Now, it's a well-known fact that you and Big Dog have this thing about fake on Facebook or something like that, if I read it right.
Yeah, unfriended me. He unfriended me. He kept Flash Morgan, but unfriended me. So he's tried refriending me a few times, but I've ignored it, and I do what I can to make his life hell on any form of social media, basically. So, yeah. I mean, people say, oh, you're just joking. You're just, no, hate him. Can't stand him.
So, yeah. And there's also that video that lingers around that I see on your Instagram account as well, where in the ropes.
At least once a week.
I spend a bit of my day watching it when you put it up, I must admit.
Yeah.
So what happens, if I remember rightly, he runs the ropes, and as he comes back from like an Irish whip,
straight through, The best, like, they build him up so much. I've put the whole thing on before, and it's like they build him up, and he's calling himself Tank back then for some reason. I don't know. He thought he was cool, and he was, I'm going to spank you, because, like I say, back then you could say a lot more than what you can now as well. He's like, I'm going to spank a yank, and because I'm the Tank, and you could take it to the back, and trying to be all like, you know, this and that. And then you just see him fly through the ropes, and he just say, oh my God. But yeah, it's because I actually remember watching that when it first came out. Like I say, Christ, I'm going to say 1999 or 2000. It was on Transatlantic Wrestling Challenge on ITV. It was, and like I say, it was a big thing on ITV at that time. Like, you had 4 channels to choose from. Well, where I lived, you had 4 channels. I think most, like, proper society had 5 channels by then, but you had 4 channels to choose from, right? And they put Big Dog on TV at prime time before Pop Stars. You know, so it was like, before Simon Cowell comes on TV, you got Big Dog flying through the ropes. I mean, what the hell were they thinking?
I can only imagine what was going through his head.
Somebody must have been paid a lot of money for that to go on TV before. But yeah, no, it was, like you say, it was great at the time for wrestling and stuff to be on ITV and stuff like that. But it's like, say, I remember watching it, and I remember seeing this guy kind of fly through the ropes, and it was like, kind of stuck with me. And then when we went and watched the first Welsh Wrestling show, we went and watched, me and Ethan went, and we were sitting in the crowd, first match, James Mason versus Tommy Dean. And it was like a really good match. It was like, you know, you got, like I say, James, the first time I've ever seen James Mason live. I'd seen him on Wrestler. I seen him when he was like a teenager on Wrestler, you know, and then it was like, oh Christ, he was really good. And then they had the second match. Matt Vaughn comes out, typical bad, really bad as a bad, not really bad as a bad guy, but a really good bad guy, if you know what I mean. Like, say, it was like, Christ, he's like, it was the first time I've ever kind of sat and thought, like, they're really good at what they do. You know what I mean? Whereas before, it's like you're just enjoying the wrestling. Time I've been kind of, I can appreciate this. Like, I can really appreciate how, like, they're with the crowd there, because it was totally different to being in a WWE crowd or stuff like that. It was like more, it was more personal. I mean, anyway, he comes out and the crowd hate him and this and that. And then they announce this guy, Big Dog, and he comes out in the cape and the whole Big Daddy thing going on, like. And I'm just there watching, and it's like, I'm really sure that that's the same guy. It was like, it must be the same guy. It must be the thing. But they were, they introduced him from Half West, and I thought, no, it can't be the same guy. It can't be the thing. But then, like I said, I went training afterwards, and he was in there, and I went up to him and said, "Oh, did you used to wrestle as a Tank?" He goes, "Yeah." And you can see the smile come on his face, like, somebody's seen it. You're the guy that watched it in Wales, like, you know? And yeah, he, like I say, we've been close ever since. And like I say, it is banter. I mean, I do make out of him badly, and not just on social media. It's like every day I send him an abusive message or something. But it's one of those things where if somebody else sent him the same message, you'd be like, hang on, no, you can't say that to Big Dog. Is, you know, he is one of my closest friends, but it's like I do reserve the right to take the mick out of him constantly, you know.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. Oh, maybe we should get him on. Maybe he would like to come on Rambles and address the situation.
You know what? You wouldn't have enough time for him. I mean, you get him talking about, like, when he was wrestling back in the 60s and into the 70s, and you know, and all the people that he's named and stuff like that. And he's also, just as thrown out there, he's also the only guy I know who's been 46 since 2013. You know, so like that's a story in itself. So it's he's been 46 since then. So since I've known him, he's been 46.
Don't take me to surgeon.
That's that.
And he hates having his haircut. So yeah,
I know the feeling. I do as well.
Yeah.
so let's move on from wrestling now. Like I said in the introduction, you're a bodybuilder, professional bodybuilder.
Yeah.
So what does it take to become a successful bodybuilder? Because I know you've won numerous awards, you know, medals, you got first place trophies, and speak to me about a successful bodybuilder. Or in your own sort of...
Yeah, I say it's success. I mean, it's kind of, to define success is like, say, I never went out to kind of, right, I'm going to go out, I'm going to win this show. It's like, it started off where, like I said, I've been training since I was 15, kind of doing karate. And it's one of those things where I kind of, by the peak of my karate, I was doing kind of training 2 hours a night. We were going out, like we were going to a different country every weekend. That was where we were at, type of thing. You know, we were going out, we were living the dream. It was one of those things where, and it got to a stage where, like I said, I think it was 27, 28, and it was like you did feel kind of a bit indestructible, where you're kind of, I could do what I want, like eat what I want, and you know, you're training all the time. And it was one of those things where if we weren't training with a club in the night, we phone one of the boys up. It's like, oh, fancy, you know, going down the garage. And it's like we go down the garage, and it was one of those things where it's like when you tell people about it, they're like, you did what? He's like, yeah, we went to the garage. I was like, what do you do in the garage? We had a scrap, you know. And it was one of those things where you go down, you shut the door, and be 3 or 4 of you in there, and you just be constantly just fighting each other and just messing about, type of thing. But you were always on the go.
Yeah.
And like I say, it went, and then suddenly I had to grow up, and it's like I went from training kind of 2 hours every night to starting my own electrical business, where it was a case of, if I stay on another hour in work tonight. I'll get this job finished so I can do another job tomorrow rather than coming back here. And so it was like suddenly you kind of stop training, and then it's like you realize that you can't eat what you want anymore. But it's one of those things where you go out in the morning and it's like, right, okay, I've got a job to finish now. If I finish this job now, I'll have a bit of lunch now. And then you're thinking, I will stop now, I'll stop after. And before you know it, it's 4 o'clock, you haven't eaten all day, and you're passing a McDonald's and you think, oh, I'll just call in and I'll grab something quick. And it went from, like I say, training 2 hours every night to calling a McDonald's twice a day. And it was at the point where kind of I went to, I started training with wrestling. So that pulled my weight back a little bit. But like I say, I was used to kind of, hang on, I'd normally train and eat what I want and be in okay shape.
Yeah.
But it was like, I'm training flat out and it's like, I'm not where I want to be kind of thing, you know? So, I just kind of had to take control of it. So, and especially when you're in with guys like Titan, Steve, you know, guys like, and then you got Joel, where you go over England, and you know, all guys in great shape, and like being, like say, I was an average kind of looking guy. I mean, I was in decent shape, but not kind of with theirs. And when you're competing for a spot on the roster against people like that, you had to be, I think. So it was like, right, okay, I need to do something. And so I got in touch with a personal trainer in Tennessee. He'd just won the Flex Lewis Classic that was in Cardiff, I think, at the time. And he'd won the Masters category there to everything. So I thought, all right, well, if I want to get in shape, I got to kind of be with somebody who knows how to get in shape. Where, like the same, if you want to be a marathon runner, you train with a marathon runner type of thing. So it was like, right, this is what I've got to do. And I kind of went with him with a 8-week kind of shred plan, as he was calling it then. And so it was like, Christ, it's looking all right. Like it's going okay type of thing. And kind of, the more kind of changes you were seeing, it was like the more you were encouraged to do it, and the more you were encouraged to push further. And like I say, it was hard. It is really hard. But it was like, as the results were coming in, it was like, right, I can push further. And I kind of woke up like kind of 7 weeks in, and I thought, right, next week's the last week. What am I going to do after this? And I kind of met up with him and spoke to him, and I said, oh, well, there's a show in kind of the PCA. We're doing the Welsh Championships in 8 weeks' time. Do you think I'd be able to do it? And he was like, yeah, well, we'll push for another 8 weeks then, and it just went from there, really. And it wasn't kind of, like I say, I never went out to be a bodybuilder or to be a successful bodybuilder. It was just kind of my own personal success. And like I say, it was just, and then when I started competing, it's like, it kind of brought back that kind of athlete kind of mindset where you're like, right, okay, I've got, you know, a control in my life again. And sometimes that's what you need, to have one kind of stable kind of thing where you're following, and suddenly everything else just falls into place. You know, when you've got that kind of, right, this keeps me in check on this part, suddenly everything else looks a bit more focused, if you know what I mean. One of the things. And like I say, I mean, I think, again, I've been really lucky to be around the people I've been around great guys. I mean, Paul, who was coaching me at the time, stopped coaching people now. So I'm with Mike now. And again, great history in bodybuilding. Used to train with Paul Grant. Paul Grant was a bodybuilder from Wales who he's in the pumping iron films. You know, he's in the amateur universe category there. I think he actually gets a third in that category, where obviously Schwarzenegger's in the pro part of it. Well, he's in the thing. And he used to train with Paul Grant when he was 16, 17, and trained with some top quality guys. And like you say, well, like I said, he's been great with me, to be fair. So
The name speak to itself then, really.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's just the like I say, the knowledge and stuff, and like the trust you put in him as well, because obviously you're trusting him with your life. I mean, I know it sounds a bit extreme, but it's like things kind of do get extreme at times. You know, you're starving and you know, but now it's all kind of everything's is going good. And again, just for anybody who wants to do it, I mean, like I say, I did it. So, I mean, anybody can do it really, as long as you're willing to put in that kind of effort and you got good people around you, you're going to like be a success kind of thing. It's not about kind of having the trophies or anything like that. It's kind of just how well you perform, really. And if you can do better than what you did the last time, or come in looking better than what you did the last time, then it's been a success. You know, it's we kind of that's something we learned back kind of doing karate as well. I mean, when you go into the tournaments and like sometimes you go in the first round against the guy who wins it all, right, but you lost the first round. Whereas if you went against someone on the other end of the table, you would have got to the final. Like when you compare kind of stats and stuff with things. So if you go and lose that first round, but lose it well,
yeah,
you know what I mean? It's better than going all the way to the final and having easy fights all the way through to the final and having like 5 or 6 crap fights until there. I mean, that 1 4 months is a lot, even though you've lost, it's a lot better than the other one. So again, it's like all depends on, like say, on yourself and how happy you're with yourself. You know, I mean, that's what it's about. It's always, it doesn't matter how well you do at the competition, as long as you've done your hardest and done what you can, and you know, I mean, giving it everything you got, then that's what it's about, you know. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's just like, again, I've been lucky with finding the people that I've been around, and again, very grateful for it.
Yeah, and it's even better when you're an ambassador as well for Genesis Sports Nutrition. Yeah, isn't it?
Well, yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, yeah, no, again, like you say, that's just.
I mean, they sound like a great bunch of guys. You know.
Oh yeah, they are the. You know, you couldn't ask for better. No, it's yeah. Genesis is me basically. It's is me. Yeah, no, it's one of those things where like when you go, obviously, it's expensive. Well, I say it's expensive. It's not kind of. People always say eating healthy is expensive, but like I know I could feed myself for a week for 20 quid. I go to Aldi's, got everything I want for 20 quid, you know. But then, like, say you've got like the proteins and the amino acids and whatever else on top of that. And like I say, I happened to find out where the main warehouse was, and I started my own brand basically. So it's yeah, and like I say, so any kind of just helping myself out and helping the boys out as well when they need protein as well, you know. So it's kind of win-win, really.
Yeah, and if anybody watching this, they're wrestling, they're doing anything bodybuilding, and they need some nutritional stuff, head over to Genesis Sports Nutrition.
Yeah, like you say, I mean, it's not about kind of making a fortune out of it. It's just like helping people out, and like I say, I can get it, so I'll pass it on to any other people. It's just got a cool name as well. That's all.
Yeah, I like it. I love it personally. I love that. That's cool. So, your schedule from obviously when we could wrestle. How hard did you find it to be able to wrestle and to keep to a really good diet at the time when you was doing your bodybuilding?
Honestly, and I don't mean to sound like one of those people now who are like, yeah, I live for this stuff, but I love it. It's like, to be honest, that's my kind of dream job.
Yeah.
If I could be paid to be an athlete and paid to train and paid to perform, I mean, that's what I do. It's like, that's what my ideal job would be. Obviously, family and everything like that, you've got to kind of keep your feet to the ground kind of thing. But if, like I say, that is my kind of dream, basically. Like I said, I don't get it when I hear people kind of say like, "Oh, I've got to go training today," or "I got to do it." It's like, you're being paid. That's what you're paid to do. It's like, you know, that's my kind of, you know, it's just like that. And as well, I'm one of those guys where it doesn't come easy. You know what I mean? It's like, if I want that kind of, like one of those things where it's like, I gotta work my ass off. Or I mean, my eldest now, Ethan, right? He can do anything. And I mean, I'm looking at, and like, I'm just like, how? What do you, and it's just like, it doesn't matter. It's, came home from school once with a letter in his bag, and we were like, oh no, what's happened now? But it turns out his maths level in like primary school was that of a year 8 in secondary, you know? And it's just like, why didn't you tell us? He was like, oh, don't know. I was just, it's just what I do. Like, you know, he started coming with me to train and stuff like that in the gym. And a guy in the gym there, Nigel Wilding, is a former like 7-time world champion powerlifter type thing. And he's like, got to be good friends with him in the gym. And he had his own powerlifting team there. And I said, oh, Ethan was kind of asking about deadlifting the other day. Do you mind showing him? And like, I kind of went in, come in, show him this and that. And it's like, oh yeah, he do all right. Yeah, he's quite strong. And it's like 3 years later, he's won kind of, I think he's about 7 Welsh titles now and kind of Welsh records and everything. It's from like, he just, you know, he's got his own like Instagram page and stuff like that, but doesn't mention it, doesn't, you know, and it's like, why? I mean, I'm working my ass off and you're just, you know, pulling double your body weight without thinking twice about it, like, you know, and, but yeah, no, like I say, kind of, if I gotta like be paid to do this, it would be my dream thing, you know, and like I say, to put the work in and just to kind of go for it, really. But until then, it's just, you just keep going as you are, really. I mean,
you know, as long as you're enjoying it, and you know.
I mean, it's been a blast. I mean, you said something earlier about highs and lows in wrestling. There's not been any lows, you know. It's not been, like I say, every show we do, everything is just another chance for me to live my dream as a kid, really, you know. So it's like, so what, the match wasn't as good as what your last one was, or so what, it's just, I just like being out there, you know. It's like, it's the closest I'll get to living my dream type of thing, and it's like, I'm going to make the most of it. Yes. So it's like, and especially with Alan, with Welsh Wrestling, I mean, the way he's pushed that over like when I first met him, kind of to where he is now, it's just kind of skyrocketed, you know, and it's a credit to him for all his hard work and all the effort that he's put in, like, because it is just him running it, you know. He hasn't got anybody else kind of with it. It's just him kind of booking it, getting the venues, kind of promoting it. He's out in a van like at 10 o'clock at night putting posters up. Obviously, in places he's allowed to, he doesn't fly posters. But I mean, it is a massive credit to him on how well Welsh Wrestling is doing. I mean, I think last I spoke to him, well, before lockdown came in, I think we were up to about 200 shows a year. Yeah. You know, and it's like, I can only think for the WWE, who run more shows, and they've got the whole world. Yeah. I mean, we got Wales, and like I say, we got 200 shows in a year. And I mean, even now, with kind of lockdown and everything like that, I still think if everything goes ahead, if everything is allowed to open back up, we'll still get about 120 shows. Yeah. Because I know there's shows booked already, isn't there? Yeah, that's it. I mean, and he's always kind of like saying about, oh, so and so's been in touch, and these people have been in touch, and this holiday park wants to run a couple of shows, and it's always like a case of, oh, I don't know if they'll have us back next year. It's like you just look at him and go, shut up, Al, we'll be back next year. You know what I mean? It's always that kind of thing. Like you look at him sometimes and you think like, just cut the crap. Just say that, yeah, we're going to be back.
Yeah.
We're just gonna, we are. Don't be kind of modest or whatever. Like we're gonna be, So, but no, I mean, he's like, I don't want to say evil genius of wrestling, but it's kind of
he knows something.
He knows what's going on. He knows, and I think there's a lot of people who could learn from him.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of kind of people where if they kind of took their time with him, they'd learn a lot more than just trying to push out on their own. You know what I mean? No disrespect, but it's like I think people kind of don't realize how good he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
It's and like I'm not saying that because like say we become good friends and stuff like that, but it's no, I genuinely think he's
Daddy,
hang on. What's up?
Does our dog man look creepy?
I don't know. Does this dog look creepy?
I think it does.
It does. It does to you as well. There we go. Cool. But no, it's like I say, a credit to him on what he's done and what he's managed to do. And like I say, he's taken us a bunch of misfits and kind of given us a platform to perform on, So, I mean, he's done all that by using Big Dog. I mean, anybody who can use Big Dog as as one of their stars, I mean, deserves a medal,
It's because of the suicide dive. That's what it is.
That is, oh Christ, yeah. That's what it was. He was doing them before they were cool.
Exactly, yeah. That's why they are.
AEW watched that Transatlantic Wrestling Challenge clip and thought, do you know what? There's something in this.
Yeah.
And it just went from there. Yeah.
Totally, yeah. I mean, like, about blowing smoke up Alan's backside. When I helped set up last year with you guys, the difference being with you guys and being at other shows, that it's different. It's not, I can't say I've ever had any bad experiences at shows, really. But there's just a difference working with Welsh Wrestling. Not that obviously I wasn't on the show in it. Just want to put that out there. I wasn't wrestling on the show. I was just helping. But there's a difference, It's really, everybody is welcoming, and to me, that that goes far, especially with respect. And we stayed for the show as well. My family came down as well, and we absolutely loved it. It was a completely different show we've been to. It's a family-based show, in my opinion. And you guys know what you're doing, and this is why it's successful, in my opinion. Yeah, no, it's like I say, it's got like I say, there's something there where, like you say, there's something for everybody. Yeah, that's it. You got, like I say, you got Steve, right? Ultimate superhero. He's your kind of the guy who basically won't lose, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Who'll fight to the end. You'll go through. And again, Steve. I mean, Christ, the guy was in NXT. Yeah. And it's like you got so and so say like on their show going, oh yeah, NXT superstar, so and so, ex WWE. This. It's like we got that guy every night, but he doesn't mention it. Yeah. It's like he doesn't kind of, and like again, really professional. Really like. I think he's underestimated by kind of like we all know he's really good. I mean, and we're talking like really good, but he's quiet. He doesn't he's not up his own arse. He's not, a really great guy type of thing. And like I say, same with everybody. I mean, and it's not even kind of like I say, you've got something for everyone. Going off track a bit now by kissing Steve's arm. But it's
like I say, you got Steve, and then you got Titan, who again is another superhero, but he's different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're not having the same thing twice, but it's like you got somebody else you can cheer for. And then obviously you've got Big Dog. And then you got other guys, you know what I mean? But no, like, same with Big Dog. I mean, it's again a great, good guy, great character. But again, different. I mean, it's a different, you got something there for everybody kind of thing, you know? And it's not only the good guys, but you got like Jay Russo, right? It's somebody who's awesome. You know, I mean, you can't say good enough stuff about him. He is brilliant in the ring, not only wrestling, but character. You know, and out of the ring, I mean, you wouldn't say that was him in the ring, but out of the ring, totally different. But it's like the character he's got, the model, is amazing. I mean, you don't realize how good he is until you're in there with him and doing what he does, and the way he's with the crowd and the way he's everything. It's brilliant, you know what I mean? Thing. And then, but again, you got like me and Tommy Dean.
Oh, yes.
Another, but totally different again, kind of thing. Like say, Sterling Gold. Sterling Gold. He is my favorite bad guy, kind of, because it's one of those things where it's like people want to see him get beat up so smarmy and so like better than everyone else, and it's just like everybody just wants to see him get beat up. And again, all kind of tough guys. I mean, all kind of like, you know, you could give him a kick in, right? You know, and I try my best where in there they're having it, you know, but they just stand there and take it. And it's like, I don't think, no disrespect to any other people and stuff like that, but it's like when we go on social media, we promote the show. It's the company. We're part of Welsh Wrestling. I mean, we are Welsh Wrestling. I mean, there's no individuals. There's no kind of superstars. There's no kind of thing like where you got other people like wrestlers saying how good they are, and like I'm this, I'm that, it's not about like with us, because we're only with Welsh Wrestling type of thing. It is about the show. So you haven't got Jay Russo on social media telling everyone how good he is, kind of personally type of thing, you know what I mean? It's like it's up to other people to say that. He does put videos up on it, and they're brilliant, you know, when he does a promo, they're great promo videos, you know, they're like all one take, they're all a thing like, and but again, he doesn't kind of, he's not the type of like, look at me, look at what I've done, look at the thing. It's all about kind of pushing the show and kind of, so the show is like, people come to see the show, they don't come to see us, they want to see the show as a whole, kind of thing, you know? So so I think that's why it can be different with us, because we're just like the people on the show, whereas people are coming for the show and we just happen to be on it, you know what I mean? So but yeah, it's no, like I say, it's great. We come down there, I mean, we've got no problem with people coming down, or if anybody wants to be part of Welsh Wrestling. I mean, obviously we haven't got a school going, but again, like my apprenticeship, just come down and just go like that. I mean, it is the way to do it. You know what I mean?
It can go far. It can go far.
It can. I think, like I say, I think I do. Last year, I think I did about 70 odd shows. So, you know, not being kind of considering, and they were all kind of an hour from my house, you know, so I'm not traveling. I think it was like I'm home by 11 o'clock every night. And, you know, so it's, like I say, I know a lot of people are like, oh, but it's not this show or it's not that show or something, but it's like consistent. It's something every week. It's, you know, it kind of, it pays, you know what I mean? And you're home, I think, and you're wrestling next week. So it's like, you know what I mean? So like I say, if anybody's interested, just come down or just message Alan personally. Just really get on him, and then he loves that. He loves when he gets people messaging him. But no, it's like I say, just if you want to come down to the show, come down to the show, and like I say, just help out or whatever. I know it sounds a bit thing like, oh, I have to help out, but
but it is though. It's paying your dues. It's paying your dues. Paying your dues.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of things, like But,
So obviously you just mentioned the highs and lows. You got no lows in wrestling, which is brilliant to hear. Also all highs, which is awesome. My last question to you is a bit of a new and weird one. So, hi, how's it going?
Wait, we can join in the picture.
You're going to join in the picture as well,
That's cool.
Okay.
That's the literal Kid Cymru.
That is Kid Cymru, yeah.
Good kid. My last question is, so...
Hang on.
Oh, there we go. So what is your finisher? For anybody who doesn't know, what is your finisher and why do you use it?
Well, it started off being the crossbody. I went for the crossbody, just it kind of suited the character, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I wasn't going to do a power bomb. I wasn't going to choke slam somebody. And I think that's a lot of what people seem to forget these days when they've got their characters, is they have to do stuff that's suited for their character.
Yeah.
In like say, and especially with Welsh wrestling, you got big guys there, and you got to have moves, or you got to have a move set that you got to do with everybody. It's no good like doing, okay, I'm going to do power bomb on you, but okay, I can't do it with you, so I'm going to have to find someone else. It's like you got to have something that you can do to everybody, and that'll work. So when you're flinging yourself off the top rope on top of somebody with that momentum, with that thing, it doesn't matter if you're against a 12-stone guy or a 22-stone guy, they're going to go down, So it's like, the crossbody worked well there. As I got older, I kind of went more for the rock bottom, more because, like I say, obviously I've been wrestling since 2014, and I think it's more like it's part of the character development as well. Obviously, I got a bit bigger, and I thought, right, well, with a rock bottom, you can pick people up. Doesn't matter if they're like, you're not picking them up over your head or anything like that. So, right, okay, it's a bit of a power move, but it's not like a major power move. Again, trying to suit it to the character. And you can hit it from nowhere, really. You could just pick someone up, slam them down, quick finish for the match, So when you had to set the crossbody up, it was kind of like, okay, you got to get them down, and then you got to go over the corner, you got to get up, you got to, So it just kind of fitted with some of the finishes for the matches. So it kind of just went, and then I started using more and more, and it's like, and that's one thing I'll say as well, going off track again a bit. We've got the best fans ever. We got people who kind of live in Newport coming to Tenby to watch us because they've seen us in Porthcawl the week before, and it's like the kids just loved it so much they wanted to see again. So they'll travel, and you've got people then following us about, and they're like really loyal as well, and they're kind of, you get to know them kind of thing, being too, but you kind of like say you get see them all different places and stuff like that, and then it's like they kind of, even though we're not on TV or we're not really on kind of YouTube or social media and stuff, they kind of recognize the moves you do, and they know what's going to come next, and it's like, oh yeah, he's setting it up now, and it's just, and it's like you get them calling for it and stuff like that. So it just kind of went from there then, So we still do the crossbody, but it's kind of better for my knees if I do the rock bottom.
That's fair enough. What you said about the fans, you have loyal fans. I think that's important to sort of build a relationship with the fans, because you want the fans to remember you, well, not necessarily you as such, but you want them to remember the night they've had. You want them to have a great experience. So not only have they just watched probably their new favorite wrestler, Kid Cymru, but they've also had the experience of him coming up to him, signing an autograph, having a picture of him, giving him a high five. It's all part of it.
Yeah, that's it. It is kind of personal, it means a lot. I mean, you got kids then, and I think as well. I mean, I kind of put up on my Instagram earlier today. I got like young kind of teens now starting to train and starting to get interested in that, and I get a lot of people kind of like asking advice.
Yeah, I did see. Yeah,
you know, and it's like it's quite nice just to kind of be like
their inspiration.
You know, like a kind of not a mentor as such, but somebody they can kind of, if they feel comfortable asking me for advice, it's like, oh, great. You know, I mean, I brilliant. You know what I mean? And I'll never not answer somebody or never not the thing. Like, you know, it's always kind of like I might not get back straight away. It depends what I'm doing, but I'll always try and kind of give my advice. You know, it's like from what I've learned from my experience, kind of thing, where I've been and the stuff I've done, type of thing. You know, so but yeah, no, I mean, we've got a great bunch of fans, and we're really appreciative of them. I mean, like I say, I mean, without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do, and we wouldn't be half the places we would be. You know?
Yeah, I agree, definitely. So that's all my questions out of the way. Unfortunately, we have no fan questions. Not even Big Dog wanted to ask you a question. But so that's it. Is there anything you'd like to shout out or promote or anything else before we go?
No, just like I say, thanks for having me on. I mean, I was quite surprised when you asked me because, like I say, it's just me really. But no, it's I really appreciate you having me on and spending the time, basically.
Yeah, so, no, I don't know what you need to feel like that for, because everybody has a story, like I always say, and I love to hear it. So this is why I ask people. You know, I find your story interesting. You know, so it was all good. You know, thank you for coming on and taking time out today. But yeah, that's it. That's a wrap, as they say. Yourself and Welsh Wrestling have the continued success as you already have. Hopefully we get Big Dog on. If he is on, you'll be the first to know.
Yeah, his side of it. Like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
See what yeah.
Let's do it. I think let's get Big Dog on. I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, just make sure you got enough tape in the camera, because he's bound to mention. I could probably give you the Big Dog interview right here now. So yeah, when he started wrestling back in 1875, he was one of the founding fathers of wrestling. He went on to be on ITV numerous times. He'll drop a few names in, you know, like his time with Johnny Moss. He was with Johnny Moss, him and Johnny, like that. And then he trained Finn Balor. Everything he knows, everything. He'd probably try and, if he wasn't talking to you on the phone now, we'd probably try and ring him. I gotta say this story, right?
Go on.
He helped me out the other day, and he went and picked protein up from the warehouse for me, you know. And right, okay, fine. And he was like, "Oh yeah, the guy there, he's a wrestling fan. He's all this and that." I was like, "All right, okay." So anyway, I went in there a week after, and talking to the guy, he said, "Oh yeah, you had that Big Dog in, didn't you?" I was, yeah. I was like, "Did he tell you that he used to train Finn Balor?" He goes, "Yeah. He tried to phone him. When he was here, but he must have been busy because he didn't answer." I was like, "Yeah, that's right. Yeah." You know, I was just like, "Oh, right, okay, yeah." He trained Finn Balor. Yeah.
Nice.
So,
that's cool.
Yeah, that's the basic Big Dog story. So
that sounds good. So I want to hear it. So Big Dog, we're watching.
Get his version. It'll be so much more entertaining.
That sounds great. So this has been the Welsh Patriot, Kid Cymru. I have been the beer drinking, heavy metal listening, bald-headed brawler CueBall. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to subscribe to my channel for more wrestlers I'll be interviewing and other people. Stay safe, stay positive, and hashtag, yeah.